The TransMod, or transient modulator, is a plugin that does just what the name implies. It can modulate transients and move them forward or into the background, essentially sharpening or softening their dynamics. It's especially effective on rhythm instruments with attacks such as drum loops, percussion, and bass, but it can also be used in other applications, as we'll see in a minute. We'll start with this drum loop from a TV track, where the snare has been output to its own channel, leaving just the kick and hi-hat. So here on the screen, the most commonly used parameters are the gain, ratio, and overshoot. On this preset, I have a positive ratio, which increases the attack. Now we'll go to a negative ratio, which will modulate the transients back. Notice the gain increase you can make as well. The overdrive, which lightly adds some harmonic content, can be pushed to 100%. At that setting, it allows for peaks of up to 6 dBs above digital max without any clipping. Let's go back to the punchy kick. It's got a positive ratio and a high overshoot. Now the negative ratio pulls it back. Increase the gain. Quite a difference. Okay, let's take a look at the snare now, which is really just a side stick. Put up the TransMod. Take some of the Oxford reverb off. Let's use a negative ratio. Add some gain. You can hear how it increases the ambience built into the sample, the negative ratio and the high overshoot. Positive ratio gives me more attack. Put the reverb back in. And we'll just call up the TransMod and listen to some of the differences. Take a look at what it can do with a shaker. Notice the positive ratio and high overshoot and the gain way down. Let's go back to factory default. That's the original shaker. Gives it almost a pulse. Pull the ratio to negative. Up. Overdrive is set at 100. Gain is way down. Really changes the feel from a stiff shaker to one with a lot of life in it. TransMod does a really good job of taking rhythmic elements and altering their dynamic attacks, but it can also be used on instruments like guitars, which we'll take a look at now. Just adding a little bit of gain to the signal, a little positive ratio. So I'm using the transient modulator's gain instead of the DAWs. Again, these are all subtle changes, but they make a big difference in the end dynamics of a final mix. As you can hear, TransMod works great on both recorded and sampled instruments. It can be used to push attacks forward or pull them back, like on this kick where it adds a little extra presence. Or on a side stick where a little additional positive ratio adds punch. It can also have the effect of increasing or decreasing room ambience and adding a little extra life to a dull track. So there you have the Sonnox Transient Modulator, or TransMod.